Art is a very important part of the garden, but most people don't think about the art. They're busy thinking about plants. I think art makes the garden, and without it, your garden's not nearly as special. In this program, I'm going to give you 10 reasons why you need to add more art to your garden. What purpose does it serve? How does it enhance the plants in your garden? How does it improve your overall design? And how does it make your garden more interesting? Now, before we get started, we have to figure out, what is art? Now, when I say the word art, you immediately think about pictures and sculptures, the traditional type of art. But in the garden, we can expand that definition and include all kinds of interesting things. I use the term to refer to anything that's not plants. It can be little sculptures, little knickknacks, little ornaments, pink flamingo. That's art if you think it's art. Anything that's not a plant should be considered art. Why should you add art to the garden? If you have a piece of art and you want to add it to the garden, go right ahead. You do not need to have a reason for adding it. If you like it and you think it looks good in the garden, add it. Notice the use of the word you. I'm a big believer that a garden should reflect your wants and needs, and nobody should tell you what to do with your design. Your design is always right. However, if you better understand how art can help a garden design, you might be able to use that favorite piece of art in a better way. Maybe you will place it more effectively, or you might select a piece that fits better into your garden. Understanding the why of something is always important because it allows you to make better decisions. Many pieces of art stand out from the rest of the garden. Because of this quality, it draws the eye away from other parts of the garden. It becomes a focal point. This can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on your goals for the garden. It is a good thing if you want to focus your eye on the direction of the piece of art. But if you want the viewer to focus on a different direction, it's a bad thing. You can use art as a focal point. A focal point is usually placed farther away from the viewer so that it draws the viewer towards it. To have this effect, the piece of art needs to have a substantial size. A 6-inch statue placed 100 feet away just does not work. It is not important that the viewer can see a lot of detail from farther away, but they must be able to recognize the piece as something of interest. It should entice the viewer to move towards it for a closer look. I have a large 6-foot-tall quartz rock sitting at the end of a 40-foot arbor. It is very visible from the entrance to the arbor, and it draws people into the arbor. The arbor also frames the view, making it more visible. As visitors get near it, they start seeing the intricate details in the stone, and most people go right up to it and touch it. Different shapes and textures are useful. Most art will have a different texture and shape from the plants in the garden. Gardeners do talk about the various textures of plants, but if we are being really honest, the leaves of most green plants have almost the same texture and shape. They tend to be smooth and small. Up close, the shape does vary, but when you look at a bed of plants from even a short distance, all you see is a field of green. Art can dramatically change either the texture or the shape, or both. Recognizable shapes like triangles and rectangles work very well in a garden since their shape is so different from those of plants. A rectangular painting sitting in a bed of plants sticks out in large part due to its shape. In the same vein, art that depicts plants or flowers tends to disappear in the garden. A glass sculpture of a rose might be a great piece of art for the living room, but it does not do much for the garden. I have a large blue stone sculpture in my front garden. It's very visible because of its size, shape, and color. To the left of the sculpture, I have a Japanese lantern. It is not nearly as visible for a number of reasons. It is located in the flower bed instead of the middle of the lawn. It is smaller than the main sculpture, and its color is gray. It even has moss growing on it to help hide it even more. Neither sculpture is better or worse. They both provide different experiences in the garden, add some color to the garden. Art can be very colorful, and you can use colors that are not normally found in the garden. Even if the color is found in the garden, it is usually present in smaller splashes of color. A few flowers just can't match the impact of a 6-foot-tall pole painted bright blue. Most people use a more subdued palette in the home. Not many rooms are painted bright red, blue, or yellow. But in the garden, you can be bolder, even if bold is not your style. Bright colors and large splashes are acceptable in the garden and look very good there. Art is a great way to add this extra color. Embrace the artist in you. Many gardeners have at least some artistic ability. They may not make traditional art, but they do create artistic views with their plants. Art for the garden can be a great way to express your hidden artistic talents. You might paint a picture that you would never hang in the living room, but in the garden it looks quite good. Making art allows me to expand my interests. I can create pieces of art and at the same time improve my garden design. The two hobbies complement each other quite nicely. Painting, sculpture, welding, and ceramics can all be used to enhance the garden. What about the collector in you? You may not be an artist, but maybe you are a collector. A garden can be a great place to showcase your collection. Some gardens are full of birdhouses. Some contain lanterns or wagon wheels. There is an endless supply of antiques to collect for the garden. Art also adds winter interest. Gardeners who live in colder climates spend 3 seasons outside, and then they spend the winter inside or on a beach in a warm climate. Art in the garden can make your winter garden so much more interesting. Once all of the perennials are tucked underground and the leaves have fallen, art shines, especially with snow on it. The bluestone sculpture mentioned earlier is a good example. It is large enough to have a dominant presence even with a foot of snow on the ground. The snow partially covers it, and excess snow forms interesting little hills at its base. The eye is still very visible. As the snow melts, the water runs down the rock and changes its color. The wet areas become quite dark, contrasting nicely with the dry blue granite. Here's one last piece of advice. Look at the functional things in your garden and try to replace those with art pieces. Here's a great example. Many of us have a bench in the garden, but our benches are kind of boring and plain. Why not get a bench that's also a piece of art? Serves two purposes in the garden. You can sit on it and enjoy it, and you can stand farther away in the garden and look at it and enjoy it. I'm going to ask you to set a goal. Add one piece of art to your garden every year. You'll be amazed at how much better your garden looks. Now, if you'd like to learn more garden design secrets, have a look at this video here. Or if you're into low maintenance gardening, don't make these 10 mistakes here. Happy gardening.